Governor Gavin Newsom, we recall you fondly, or at least that's what an increasing number of Californians are saying, as the polls supporting his recall are getting more and more and more supportive of getting rid of this guy. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, my friend J.S. Shaw and my town hall colleague, too, had a thing over at Hot Air today. He started it off with, like, the poster from the X-Files. I want to believe. He says the Los Angeles Times, in a new poll from UC Berkeley, of all places, have him questioning his skepticism over the potential for success in November's recall of Gavin Newsom. In a reversal of his previous momentum, California voters split into a virtual tie on jettisoning their governor. He'd been way over 50%. This new poll has him right at 50% support for staying in office. And he'd been down in the 30s on the recall. That's now up in this UC Berkeley poll to 47%, just outside the poll's margin of error. Bill, you're our man on the ground there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I apologize.
In one of the worst.
Get up off the ground.
No, my heart goes out for you. Los Angeles is just one of the worst run cities, one of the worst run states. What is the mood there in LA?
Well, they've reinstituted the mask mandate, which I don't imagine makes too many people happy. It certainly didn't make me happy. Yeah. But as we mentioned on the backstage show, Steve, a couple of weeks ago, I did a Moving Back to America video saying I think Larry Elder should save California run for office as governor. And a few days later, of course, he saw the video and that changed his mind and forced him into it. I don't even know if he saw the video, but the point is he's in.
Yeah.
So look, this is going to come down to turnout. And there are a lot of people who are more angry with Gavin Newsom than there are people who are absolutely crazy about the wonderful job Gavin Newsom has been doing. And I think he's got a good chance to go. If he does get recalled, he will be recalled because of the French Laundry incident. That was the most egregious example during this entire. It's been by the way, I think we're within a day of 500 days to flatten the curve. But of the entire duration, that was to me the most egregious example of just aristocratic privilege that $800 haircut could possibly have shown. And
for those who don't watch all the time, Bill, the French Laundry is a restaurant. Gavin Newsom went out to eat at it during a time when he shouldn't have been there.
It is an extremely expensive $400 a plate restaurant in the middle of the lockdown. No one but essential personnel out. Gavin Newsom went to this restaurant, was photographed inside, shoulder to shoulder with medical professionals, none of them wearing masks, all of them breaking the rules. And then he said something to the effect of, I knew I shouldn't have gotten out of the car, but I didn't anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Let them eat foie, I think is what he said.
So I have here a elder for governor thing, and nice. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but just and by the way, these are just theatrical spectacles. I don't really need them, but since I'm in LA, I put them on to give me the impression of being an intellectual.
You have grown old in the service of your country and very nearly blind.
So let me here's the two or three. Here's the top three things that on one side it's September 4th is the election, by the way. So 15,000 businesses and 3.8 million jobs lost, highest poverty and homeless rates in the U.S. That's our number one product now. Mismanaged our forests, resulting in deadly wildfires, loss of lives and property, and rolling blackouts. Opened the borders and so on. But the part I actually find so interesting about this in terms of California politics is what Larry Elder is proposing to put in his place. Statewide school choice, aid entrepreneurs and startups by cutting business-killing regulations, tackle underlying causes of homelessness by addressing mental health, bring free market solutions to support businesses and bring back jobs, take care of our veterans and support law enforcement, blasphemy, secure our border and stop illegal immigration, manage our forests to reduce wildfires, prevent loss of life, and so on. These are quality of life issues that every California is facing, every Californian. And when I did that video, I said the vicious slander leveled against Larry Elder is that he's a black conservative, and we should not ever let anybody get away with calling him that. He's a conservative, and calling him a black conservative is is a denial of the individuality and individualism that's the heart of conservative politics. But I say all of that only to say this. Because of the racial obsession of the left, the fact that he is a black Republican will give a significant number of liberals a sort of a mental blindfold that they can put on to allow them to vote for a Republican, because nobody's very happy with the way the state's being run.
Well, good to know. I'm old enough to remember when the California Dream was a thing.
A thing.
It was the most. It's where you went for more opportunity than you could find anywhere else in this country, which means anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, agriculture, aviation, aerospace, movies. They used to make movies in Hollywood. Can you believe it, Steve?
Hollywood, Georgia.
There you go.
Yeah, they need to rename Atlanta. Scott, according to Jazz, that article I was quoting from earlier, the findings dispel the notion that California's solid Democratic voter majority will provide an impenetrable shield for Newsom and reveal a vulnerability created by a recall effort that has energized Republicans and met with indifference by Democrats. So that's the turnout you were talking about. But let me tell you, I would be just filled with the darkest, thickest, most luscious schadenfreude ever if Newsom were to get recalled, because he's just
a big win.
Petty dictator. However, I also believe in constitutional government, and I have a real issue with the whole idea of recall elections, that voters should have to live with their choices or they're never going to learn any better. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and this is actually a battle that I fought and lost at the county commissioner level back in Pennsylvania. It's very similar to this, when one of my so-called conservative colleagues said he wanted to propose legislation that made it necessary for us to do a voter referendum if we wanted to do a tax increase. And I thought, that is the most gutless thing I've ever heard. You run for office because you're going to make the tough decisions, and then when you get in there, you want to get cover by having it in the form of a referendum. And by the way, a referendum is typically scheduled at a time when it's least likely to get a lot of people to show up to vote. They're scheduled in off years in most cases. And
worded impenetrably too.
Yeah, and they usually make it very complicated when it's that kind of referendum language, and so it does become a turnout game. And essentially, it's politicians choosing their electorate and which special interests can drum up the most activity from people who wouldn't normally think of voting at this time. So anyway, that bothers me, and I agree with you, Steve. Even though I don't think Gavin Newsom is the right choice for California, he is the choice that they made during their regular election cycle. Now, California, as I understand it, doesn't have what many states have, which is called a state constitution. California has what they call "and another thing." And they just
so well
a People magazine article.
That's right. And it's like the online version of a People magazine article where they can keep adding to it and updating it. And the comments section is part of the original document. And so they have this series of referenda that continue to get tacked on to the end of this thing. That's not a constitutional government. In fact, that's exactly what people like James Madison were trying to avoid during the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which is what the Democrats like to call democracy. The danger of democracy is that you will have these passionate mobs of people who can periodically come in and get their will over the people by basically just using their muscle to exert at a particular time and place. And so then you wind up with a muddled mess of a constitution that you can't really follow. So I would actually like to see Gavin Newsom have to live out his days in loneliness in the governor's mansion until he gets legitimately kicked out of office. And frankly, until Larry Elder has the time to build the kind of base he's going to need to beat Gavin Newsom at a normal election.
Can I add just one thing to that?
Please.
Because when Larry first decided to run, they decided to knock him off the ballot for some trumped up, your tax things or whatever, and he's sued to get back on. Looks like he's back on. But when I first heard that news, Steve, that there's a chance he would have to be a write-in candidate, I thought there's no chance for a write-in candidate. Then I found out there's something like 47 other candidates. Seriously, I think that's the actual number.
It's huge.
And if Newsom is recalled, So it's a two-part process, right? You recall the governor and then you pick one of these other people. If Newsom is recalled, I don't think anybody can touch Larry Elder in terms of name recognition, electability, popularity, all of that stuff. I don't think he's a giant among midgets.
Bill, did I remember it accurately that Newsom himself is not going to be listed on the ballot as a Democrat because he missed some sort of filing deadline? He's going to be listed, but not as a Democrat.
Well, it's a single party state. Everybody knows.
Are you telling me that he can be recalled and then also be listed as a candidate and win?
No. See, if I remember correctly, how the recall works, and this is going a while back. This is Gray Davis, and when Schwarzenegger ended up his replacement, is you make 2 tick marks. Well, up to 2 tick marks on the vote. The first is, should the governor be recalled? And if you check yes, then you check one of those 47 candidates. And if he's recalled on the first checks, then whoever gets the most checks is now the governor. They can win with 9% if it splits up.
You win with 3%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that if the recall actually passes, that Larry Elder has an excellent chance. I don't know of anybody else.
So there's no runoff. There's no plurality, 50%
plus
1 or anything like that.
Caitlyn Jenner, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. But do you want to talk about name recognition in California? Yeah. All about the Hollywood, all about the celebrity. I'd love to see Elder as governor. That said, I just don't want him to win this way. To expand on what Scott was saying, I believe there are really 3 proper ways to remove an elected official from office outside the election process. The first is very simple. You write them out of town on a rail. Don't let them back in. The second method, a little more extreme, tar and feathers, but it sends an important message to the others who might replace that person. And the third is for extreme uses only. I don't actually recommend this. And that, of course, is your nearest local lamppost. No, I'm kidding. We would never do that.
Put up a poster of Larry Elder on your nearest local lamppost. That's what we meant, YouTube, obviously. Exactly. I don't think there's any question about that.
Indeed. California has its own process, and they don't need my approval or Scott's approval to carry this out. Though. But it needs Bill's approval. He's going to vote next month, and I think it's pretty easy to guess how Bill's going to vote. That said, despite my objections, which don't matter because I'm not a Californian, I would love to say Governor Elder. And that's your right angle on that, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Just a quick reminder that content like this needs sponsors like you. So if you've been watching these for free, naughty. Go to BillWhittle.com. Sign up today. We'd love to have you on board. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.